What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Force here with some more StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm beta commentary. Today's game is going to be between WhiteRa and SjoW. This is a Protoss versus Zerg matchup. We are here on the map Coral City. And why don't we start off the game with some player information, beginning up here in the 12 o'clock spawn position with our red Zerg player, SjoW. SjoW took 4th place at the Raid Call Invitational number 1 on March 2nd of this year. He also took 3rd place at the MSI Pro Cup number 8 on March 29th. And some of you may be a bit confused looking at this and saying, I recall SjoW being a Terran player, and you of course would be correct. In Wings of Liberty, SjoW did play Terran. Now I'm not sure if he intends on making a race switch for the upcoming expansion, or if he is just trying Zerg out, but at the very least for this game, SjoW will be playing as Zerg. And his opponent over here in the 9 o'clock spawn position is our blue Protoss player, WhiteRa. WhiteRa, I just actually did a commentary of one of his games just the other day from the beta, so excited to have him back here for another game. WhiteRa took 2nd place at the MLG European Invitational 2011. This was in November of last year. And then this year, on July 21st, he took 2nd place at the WCS 2012 Ukraine. WhiteRa will be opening up, going gateway first here at the front of his main base. You're going to notice the very wide ramp here on Coral City, and then after that moves out with his probe scout. Looks like he will be scouting out SjoW immediately. Back over here for SjoW, he will be going spawning pool first. Very smart in this matchup, especially given that your Protoss opponent, if he opens up with a Forge, that could be really, really hard to deal with if you don't have those Zerglings and just have to rely on those drones. Something interesting about this map that you're going to notice right away here, looks like SjoW is moving straight to it. There's an expansion position right in the main. It is very, very interesting to have this on a 1v1 map. Obviously there are 4 spawn locations, so there could potentially be 4 people on a map like this, but this is a 1v1 map pool map that has an expansion position right in the main. It's going to make for some pretty interesting tactics. I'll be really intrigued to see what players decide to do. Obviously quick expansion builds seems like it's going to be pretty smart, but at the same time, this is a relatively small map, so if you do quick expand, you could deal with a strong 1-base push from your opponent, and that could be difficult to deal with. Especially given this ramp here, very wide ramp. Now, for example, taking a look at a Protoss player who might rely on force fields early on, you're going to need double the force fields to actually prevent pushes from coming up this ramp. But again, there is that expansion position in the main, and I just think that's really, really cool. I'll be really intrigued to see what types of games we get with having a somewhat safe expansion like this, one that's not as difficult to defend. You really just have to pay attention to this one ramp here when it comes to defense. And you look at a Protoss player like WhiteRa, if he opened up Forge Fast Expand and just got a couple of cannons to defend the front, well, he could be certainly okay, again, especially against Zerg. Now, that could be wrong, but that's just my assumption as of now, at least, in terms of how things could play out. We got a couple of Zerglings moving out now for SjoW. He is encountering WhiteRa Stalker, though, already losing 1 Zergling, taking 1 shot as well to the 2nd Zergling, and then he's going to be pulling all the way back. Now, he has got 4 more Zerglings in production just in case the Stalker continues to attempt to push. Also a Spine Crawler right here, and again, think of a situation where Stalker is just going to walk right over here and then try to harass this expansion. It could be very difficult to deal with, but we're going to be seeing a couple of Queens here, plus a few Zerglings for SjoW to try to attempt, and there you go, Stalker trying to do that very thing that I just mentioned. The Zerglings plus the Queens, though, coming down to defend, and that's going to force WhiteRa Stalker all the way back. Zerglings move forward, able to get a few shots off. WhiteRa Stalker all of a sudden is in trouble. He's going to need to continue to retreat here, and we've got more Zerglings still chasing WhiteRa. What does he have back at home? Uh-oh. He's got a Zealot coming out, but is that going to make it out in time? That's the question. Stalker continuing to push back, buying himself a little bit more time. Zealot's still not out yet. The Zerglings may make it up unless he stops the Stalker right there. He's going to stop the Stalker. Will the Zerglings make it by, though? Very close. Zealot able to get into position, though, and shows Zerglings they could have snuck in there. There's no question that they could have snuck in there. How much damage would they have done? It's tough to say, especially with that Zealot in play, able to kill off a few of them. Now he's all set, but he's going to have to deal with Zerglings trying to harass this angle, and that's going to basically force him to use the Stalker to engage. Zergling's going to try to take out that pylon. No, decides to push back, figuring that he's not going to be able to do that effectively enough to continue to push there. Let's take a look back over here for SjoW. Already an exciting start. SjoW continuing to drone up right now. You can see 5 drones in production. Also has this metabolic boost coming through. And now starting the layer evolution chamber also coming right here as well. Now WhiteRa starting out with that Mothership Core. We'll be opening up here with some Oracle Harass. We'll take a look at the Oracle as soon as that comes through. That is a new unit to the Heart of the Swarm expansion. A very effective harassing unit, albeit could be a little expensive there at the 200 Vespian, 150 minerals, plus a 60-second build time. That is fairly long there. You can see that's the same amount of build time as a Void Ray. And of course, I don't even know. I'm not going to compare it to every single build time, but yes, it is the same amount of build time as a Void Ray. Now let's take a look at the abilities there of the Oracle. He is going to be moving out. He's got the Preordain, which causes an enemy structure to grant vision for 120 seconds and display what it's constructing when selected. Also, Revelation reveals enemy units within target area. Units revealed cannot cloak. It will remain visible while burrowed for 30 seconds. And then there's this ability right there, Entomb. Creates a mineral shields over mineral patches, which stops mining. Look at how annoying this is. So basically what happens is it's got a duration, and either you can wait that duration or you can try to destroy these. They've got a small amount of hit points. You can see 75 hit points there on the mineral shields. But this is really obnoxious and really does disrupt the mining. And again, as you can see, the second that Oracle popped out, he was able to get off 2 of those on 2 mineral patches and really slow up SjoW's income gathering for that time. Now, did he come out with a second? Yes, he did. Second Oracle is here in play right now. He is going to move out right now. Now, the Entomb does cost 100 resources. So he's going to continue to move out and just sit here momentarily, try to gather up some of that energy. Well, I said it cost 100 resources. What the hell am I talking about? It cost 100 energy is what it cost. I'm going crazy today. All right, let's take a look at what SjoW's going for here. He will be doing some Hydra action, also coming out with the missile attack. Those Hydras just about ready to pop there. Now, this Oracle, somewhat weak there with only 20 shields and 80 hit points there, or 80 life as it were. He's going to be moving in for another Entomb of SjoW's resources, and I want to take a look at how drastically that reduces the mining there. We also have Gravity Sling coming out here and some Tempest action. So let's take a look at the income and then watch it drop briefly here for SjoW as his minerals take a significant hit here for this time. So it certainly really hurts, but again, at the same time, it is a very expensive unit, but it definitely does disrupt the resource gathering, also forcing all of these units back here to try to get rid of these as quick as possible. So all these Zerglings and Hydras, which could have otherwise been trying to push or harass or do whatever, well, they were now focused on actually trying to deal with this Entomb harass. And we do have this Oracle over here. I'm not sure if he's placed another Entomb yet with that. I actually wasn't quite paying attention. SjoW is moving out, though. Zerglings. He's got some Tempest to deal with, though. Tempest here as defense, as well as that Mothership Core. Tempest got a very long range on it. Taking a look there at that 22 range. I mean, just look at that. Oh, boy. Oh, that's scary. Tempest is going to pull back right now. We get the Speedlings and Hydras now moving forward. Back over here. Any more Entomb action going on? No, not at the moment. Speedlings and Hydras pushing through, already dropping a Warp Gate. We've got a few Zealots and Stalkers, plus these 2 Tempests to try to defend. Tempest needs to be careful, though, with that range of the Hydra. Just to make sure he pulls back and take advantage of the maximum range capable. Also has that Mothership Core to try to defend, although he hasn't activated that quite yet. Any Entombs going on back over here? Again, no, nothing yet. We've got this Oracle over here, plus this Oracle over here, something that WhiteRa definitely is going to want to keep up. And again, taking advantage of the range here of this very interesting new unit to try to take out some of those Hydras. Again, needs to pull back. Now, no longer does WhiteRa have this wall off to try to help him against these Speedlings, so he's going to have to be very careful about Speedling run-bys into his main. He's coming out with another Tempest again, also transitioning into Colossus. A few more Gateways coming through as well. And it looks like that has been defended as SjoW is now pushing back. WhiteRa can move in again here for some more Entombs. He's almost got enough for 2 Entombs there on that Oracle, and he's just going to sit idly by. Also coming out with an expansion over here down at the 6 o'clock location, and here's the Entomb now. Messing up the resource gathering here for SjoW, and the second Oracle is going to be moving in for another Entomb as well. I'm a little bit surprised actually that he's kind of doing these back to back. I think it'd make more well, maybe he's not going to, but I think it'd make more sense to stagger them, because if you do it one after another, well, then the player's going to have all of his units in his base to try to get rid of those shields. So, but look at this, so obnoxious to deal with, and here comes the Tempest harass. Now moving into the main base and going for the queen as well as that hatchery. Now going to be trying to kill off a few workers as well. Needs to be careful for those Hydras, scouting a little bit forward with the Oracle to spot the Hydras coming. Should push back right now. Here comes some Corruptors though. It's going to be a little difficult to deal with. Now he can still attack those, of course, with these Tempests. Oh man. It's really exciting to see these new units. It really is. We're going to have a ton of Corruptors come out to try to deal with this, apparently, as that's what SjoW's response is going to be. That's also, of course, going to help him deal with the Oracles. Now, the Oracles are pretty fast, though, so be interested to see if the Corruptors can keep up with them. Let's take a look at the speed. We got 3.75 there for the good old Oracles, and the Corruptors sitting at 2.95, so not quite fast enough to actually keep up with those Oracles. And here is another Entomb. WhiteRa continues to try to harass these mineral patches and doing a good job of it. We got a third base up and running over here for SjoW. Another engagement going down. Zealots, Stalkers, and Tempest are the current composition there for WhiteRa. We also had a Colossus in the mix, but that is gone at the moment. And the Hydra is doing so much damage. Corruptors, of course, are doing what they can to take these guys out. Tempest, you know, again, I'm really interested to see how effective they are. I don't know how well they're doing, though, against those Corruptors. Doesn't seem like they are doing very well at all. All right, now we're going to be seeing WhiteRa actually push back a little bit. SjoW back to his third. And WhiteRa with this hidden expansion, this is going to give him an advantage once he gets that saturated, because I don't think SjoW's anywhere near scouting that. He might move out with the Zergland Scout. That would be the best idea there. Just kind of patrol here, all these unscouted bases. Definitely really, really beneficial if you can do that. Try to figure out if your opponent's trying to hide anything just like this. Just for example, of course. We also have another expansion coming over here for WhiteRa. This will put him on base number 4. He is keeping up with his Tempest production. Another Tempest coming through, plus a Colossus, and then besides that, it is Zealots and Stalkers. Now, he has no upgrades coming out the level 1 weapons that is just about to finish there for his ground units. He's also got his Mothership Core there with full energy. Oracle, able to Entomb again, if WhiteRa should decide, and there he goes. Moving back in for another Entomb, and yes, again, so obnoxious. Corruptors are going to try to chase that down now. He's going to lose it. Now, had WhiteRa known that they were coming, he would have been able to get away. Again, he's got that speed advantage on the Oracle, but not knowing that they were coming made for kind of an issue. We got a bunch of Swarm Hosts, plus Evolve Enduring Locusts coming through for some good old research action. And this is going to increase the lifetime of Locust by 10 seconds. So the Locusts are those little spawns that come out of the Swarm Host. Swarm Host, sort of like a Lurker, not really. Burrows and then sends out what looks like Broodlings, but they are Swarm Host. And now with this upgrade, they're going to be lasting a little bit longer. It's a pretty interesting unit, and you know, I've been really intrigued to see it in play here in the expansion so far. And I'm also intrigued to see how good this unit is actually going to be. So he's going to throw a few Swarm Hosts over here. Unfortunately, though, they are getting hit by those Tempests from long range because we've got the Observer right there. And one Swarm Host already gone. That long range of the Tempest can be so devastating. The Pylon coming down over here for WhiteRa. Is this something that SjoW sees? He sees the probe, but doesn't see the Pylon yet. We're going to have those Zerglings move down to deal with that. Couple peeling off, taking care of this probe first, though. And before they kill him off, we're going to see a few DT warped in. So DT harass is now something else that SjoW has to contend with. Going to have to come up with a few Spores plus a few Overseers to make sure that he can handle this. DT going straight for this hatchery, and they might take it out before SjoW can even respond to that. I'm not sure if he's going to get an Overseer there in time. These DT do a lot of damage. It's a pretty scary moment right now for our buddy SjoW. Is he going to lose it? Yes, he does. He loses the hatchery. That is very, very unfortunate. You're going to notice these collapsible rock towers here on the map as well. These are pretty interesting in that you can use them to try to deny your opponent's expansion, or rather delay it. You kill off this tower, rocks drop down in this position, and that prevents your opponent from placing down an expansion until they destroy those rocks at that position. Again, these collapsible towers, a new thing in the beta. And pretty interesting indeed. Tempest coming back into play. Going to be... that range is so long. It is ridiculous. Oh my gosh. with that forward observer. Unbelievable. However, 4 Tempest with a single shot, unable to take out that single Corruptor, actually only getting it to about half HP. You can see a bunch of Locust here, which are free units, keep in mind. I mean, these are just things that the Swarm host continuously spawn. They're going to move forward. Unfortunately, though, they die before they get far enough to do much of anything. And WhiteRa coming out with another hidden expansion. Oh, this is really, really too bad that SjoW is not sending out any scouting Zerglings to try to spot for these. More Swarm hosts coming out. We also have some air upgrades coming through here. This is air weapons level 1 being researched by WhiteRa, plus the charge upgrade for his Zealots. Ground at level 2. And more Tempest. How many does he have in play right now? Sitting with 5. He's also got 2 DT. Let's see if those are sneaky anywhere. No, they're not being sneaky anywhere. See with the main force here? Where are those 2 DT? He's continuing to send these Locusts forward. I just love watching this. I don't even want to commentate. I just want to watch. He's continuing to send these Locusts forward, although not getting far enough to actually start doing some damage. This time, finally getting within range. Look how quickly they can take things out, though. They really do a fair amount of damage, especially in numbers. Unfortunately, the Tempest only being able to do single target damage there. He's going to have a hard time dealing with the constant swarm of the Locust. Here comes some Corruptors, too, and they're going to go straight for the Tempest. 1 Tempest down already. So many Corruptors, and the Locusts continue to push. WhiteRa moving out there with a Zealot. He's going to be doing a bit of harass with that. Don't know how much damage he's going to do. Kind of wish that was a DT, to be honest. I think that could have been a little more effective. And the Locusts continue to force back. Again, if they get within range, they can do so much damage. Corruptor's now going to be catching this Tempest out of position. 1 down. Continue to make that slow push there with his Locust. Swarm host just continuing to pump those out. Trying to defend here with his Stalkers and Colossus, plus the Tempest in the back. And, you know, right now, he could just run right into the main with some speedlings, so I'm a bit surprised he's not doing that. This Zealot over here with 6 kills already, though. Apparently that did turn out to be quite effective. And we got a few more Zealots and DT now pushing out again. They're actually going to be trying to hit from the backside over here and harass a little bit. You know, it's tough to deal with these Swarm hosts entrenched like this. It's like, how do you push up on that at this point if you're WhiteRa? How do you get close to that with all these Corruptors and the speedlings and a few Hydras over there as well? Very tough to deal with. Corruptors continue to push forward, and we're just seeing, basically at this point in the game, Corruptor plus Swarm host is all we're really seeing from him. Now with that, he doesn't have a very mobile ground force, and he is dealing and having a hard time in dealing with this Zealot and Stalker counter harass, plus a Zealot and DT counter harass, and Zealot and DT taking out this expansion, and these guys doing a lot of damage over here as well. So even though SjoW's making a slow, methodical push here towards WhiteRa's main, WhiteRa still has all of this over here. Plus he's, at the moment, decimating the main base of SjoW with just a few units. Again, SjoW sitting primarily at Swarm host. I mean, Swarm host is going to take forever to actually get over there. They're really great for making the slow, methodical push. And as you can see, incredibly effective at that, but still, he's taking a lot of damage here back at home. We still got this DT doing some damage. That is finally gone, though. And WhiteRa's counter harass has been dealt with. And this push still continuing as the Swarm host now outside of WhiteRa's main, continuing to just feed units here. And this, what was once the main base of WhiteRa, is now a goner. He's going to have to shift focus over here. Hopefully he starts rebuilding things such as the Cybernex core and some of his tech. And he's going to be continuously moving out from this position as he warps in units and sends them across the map here towards SjoW's base. I mean, again, this is pretty much done with. He's got a few units to defend back here, a few Stalkers, as well as a few Colossus. But he is going to be dealing with a heavy push very shortly. We're going to have some DT come over here and try to take out some of these units. However, we do have these Overseers right here, which will allow him to deal with that. And there they go. Now dealt with. But again, the Zealots and DT back over here in the main, continuing to decimate. And the problem for SjoW is that he just doesn't know about this base over here. He has no idea about it. Corruptor's moving forward to take out these Colossus. I expect, of course, these Colossus and Stalkers to be dead. I really don't think that they're going to be living much longer at all. So those are pretty much a goner, and really at this point, the key thing for WhiteRa is hitting with this continuous harass from this position. Now getting a pylon a little bit closer. He's got full mining over here. Needs to get that a little better saturated if he can. Try to continuously pump out those workers. Now, if SjoW finds this position, he could just move in with a few swarm hosts and do a lot of damage. Just sit them right here and have all of those, have all of those little mini units, the little locusts, just continuously stream into this base, and WhiteRa just wouldn't have enough to deal with it. But again, he doesn't know about that, so it's all well and good if he knew that was there, but he doesn't. Zealots trying to engage the unburrowed swarm host immediately. SjoW, upon spotting that, burrows them right away. And he just can't deal with it. It's just too much damage. It's too much damage from that amount of swarm host. He does not have the forces necessary to contend with that at all. So he just needs to really... I really think he needs to continue to be warping in from this pylon right now and try to stop any and all mineral gathering. Now, there is very little. In fact, there's almost nothing right now. Wow, okay. So SjoW is mining pretty much nothing right now. Let's take a look at his workers. He does have 26 drones, which he's transferring over here. Should be transferring a bunch over here as well. But once more, still does not know about this position, and I think that may cost SjoW the game, because SjoW really was in a strong position with his composition and just how effective these swarm hosts can be with their locust spawn to just decimate this position, but he doesn't know about it, and that's the importance of scouting, my friends. Honestly, a single Zergling scout spotting this could have made it so that SjoW won this game, but he may very well lose at this point. We've got a Twilight Council coming out right now that is going to allow WhiteRa to work his way up to either a Dark Shrine or some High Templar action, maybe get some Archons in play. That's a possibility. Now, he already has both of his upgrades in terms of the Charge and Blink upgrade. And does he still not know about this? Yes, he still does not know about it, but he is scouting out finally. Finally scouts it out, spots the cannons right here. All right, so maybe it's not quite over yet for SjoW. SjoW does still have a very dominant force with the number of swarm hosts that he's currently sitting on, 24 plus 2. I don't know why those 2 extra aren't lumped up with these 24. I couldn't tell you. But here we go. Now he's going to be entrenching outside of this position, and WhiteRa is going to have a very difficult time defending against these 26 swarm hosts. Why are they split up? Freaking beta. The Locusts are just so effective, and all he has to do is sit out here and rally them into this position, and that's going to be a major problem. WhiteRa, preemptively realizing he's in trouble now that he's been scouted out, decides to push out and do what he can over here. SjoW does have a couple of swarm hosts to defend, and without an observer, WhiteRa is going to have a tough time dealing with this. There we go. Riling them up, and this might be the end now for WhiteRa. So WhiteRa cannot defend against the vast amount of swarm hosts that we've got here for SjoW. Now he is still out over here with his stalkers, but these swarm hosts are going to be enough to defend, and he is going to get overwhelmed over here without the ability to defend himself. And there you go, WhiteRa going to lose this game. Really at this point doesn't stand a chance. He can't contend with this number of swarm hosts. Not with the few amount of forces that he has over here, and this base is just about gone. Gonna be throwing a few of these guys up over here, and we're gonna actually see a bunch of them pull back to defend as well, as he'll just be sitting on these forces. But these few swarm hosts alone will be enough to take all this out. They're just so effective, especially in numbers. I don't know what SjoW's doing over here with this, but yes, he does have the game. WhiteRa loses it. So very, very interesting. And this is probably a little bit different than my commentaries of the expansion are going to be once we're fully familiarized with all the units and how the matchups work and everything like that. But this was really fun. I'm a huge fan of what's going on here. It's just so awesome to take a look at these new units and take a look at the new compositions and try to figure out how players deal with it. And how Protoss players are going to deal with these entrenched swarm hosts and how effective the locusts are. These essentially free units that continuously spawn out of the swarm host can do so much damage, especially in numbers. Now, we saw WhiteRa do what I believe to be probably the right thing, which would be just to try to avoid it and move out for a counterattack. Unfortunately, though, that counterattack wasn't enough to actually finish off his opponent. Oh, no! So, So WhiteRa comes back to defend here with a couple of observers, able to take out the small amount of Swarm Host. But at the same time, WhiteRa doesn't have any offensive force here, trying to take out SjoW. SjoW should have the game. I hope he doesn't surrender, because WhiteRa has just got this left. He doesn't have the ability to come out with any more units. And here we go. Locust. Gonna start decimating these stalkers. Swarm Host continue to move forward. WhiteRa gonna try to pick off a few here and there. I don't think it really matters though. Zergling's gonna be pushing back, not pushing. Pushing back that stalker. And WhiteRa does finally call the game. Lots of fun. Love to see the new Swarm Host in action. What a great game here between WhiteRa and SjoW. Alright my friends, thank you so much for watching here this game between WhiteRa and SjoW, with SjoW playing as a Zerg player, showing us how effective these Swarm Host Locust slow methodical pushes can be. I mean, these Locusts are very, very strong indeed. They can do significant damage, especially in the numbers that we saw here from SjoW this game. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy this commentary. Stay tuned in the future for more Heart of the Swarm beta commentary. And again, once more, I am really excited to eventually get a handle on these matchups and sort of how these compositions are going to work and how players will be dealing with these new units, such as the Swarm Host. Thanks again, guys. If you like the content, please subscribe. And as always, keep watching and keep owning.